Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's withdrawal from royal duties, and the resulting friction between the media and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, has been largely blamed on the former Suits actress's failure to understand the rules of royal life. But, says Gus Carter, comment editor of the UK's longest established weekly magazine The Spectator, it's really Harry that's to blame. Examining the royal family's furious reaction to Amol Rajan's two-part documentary on the Megxit affair, he says that the firm depends on the media to connect it to royal fans. And while Prince William has always played by the established rules of the media game, Harry refused. This, more than anything, he says, explains the Sussex's departure from Britain. While Meghan felt had enough media experience to cope with the kind of attention she would receive as Duchess of Sussex, Harry refused. Instead, Carter writes in The Spectator this week, the young prince declared a form of war. Certainly there were initial teething troubles when the TV star tried to integrate into the royal family, Carter writes. He notes the problems with Meghan's dad and her sister's eagerness to reveal family secrets to the press, as well as the called Tiaragate, where Meghan was reportedly refused permission to use part of the vast royal jewellery collection. But, he says, it's clear that Harry is the one who disrupted that seemingly ancient dance between journalists and family. Harry's reluctance to expose his wife to the kind of public attention that contributed to the death of his mother, Princess Diana, he says, goes some way to explaining his refusal to take part in the game that royals and the media have played for generations. Harry knows what's expected of a royal, Carter says, and yet he chose to ignore those unspoken rules of engagement. While Meghan, as an outsider, can be forgiven for not immediately grasping what's required, he adds, Harry has known what was required all his life. To be born into the firm, Carter stresses, means a different level of understanding. The deal between the royal family and the media may be unspoken, Carter says, but it's necessary. Break it, and you break the monarchy, he warns. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been contacted for comment. Prince Harry spent his royal tour to Australia and New Zealand staring daggers at the journalists who accompanied him and Meghan Markle on the trip, a royal correspondent has claimed. The Duke of Sussex's sticky relationship with the media has been well documented since his mum Princess Diana's death in 1997. During a recent virtual summit, the 37-year-old claimed the word Megxit was created by trolls before being amplified in the media. Now, the new BBC documentary, The Princes and the Press, has taken a deeper look at the royal family's relationship with the media. In one clip, royal experts recalled a moment of Harry's reaction to journalists joining one of his first international tour with Meghan. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex went on a royal tour of Australia and New Zealand in October 2018. The Times royal correspondent Valentine Lowe noted, Harry had been pretty grumpy on that tour. There was a long, and incredibly boring welcome ceremony in Fiji. And it was very interesting watching them both, because Meghan was sitting just absolutely perfect on a little throne, Harry was just glowering. He was cross with the media, and he spent the entire welcome ceremony just diverting his gaze to one side just to stare daggers at the press pack. The BBC's Johnny Dimond pointed to the Duke's historic disgust for the media. He suggested, Harry, can't bear the media. He has a visceral reaction to cameras, to notebooks, to journalists. Valentine also gave an example of when Prince Harry allegedly confronted the media as they travelled on the plane back to Sydney from Tonga. They said Harry was persuaded by his team to speak to the members of the media on board. He claimed, he came back, and said something to the effect of, "Thanks very much for coming guys, not that you were invited." Again, Johnny suggested that this was an almost innate reaction on the part of the prince, saying, he did it not because he thought, "I'm going to go back and insult them," he did it because he went back, he saw us, and he just gestures to vomit like that because it is absolutely built into him. It comes as royal aides were said to be keeping a close eye on BBC Two's The Princes and the Press, which looks at how William and brother Harry have been covered over the years. The royal family was reported to be furious at not having been given an opportunity to properly respond to claims made in the programme. The first episode, which was broadcast on Monday night, charted the years from the Queen's Diamond Jubilee in 2012 up to the wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in 2018. Episode 2, out next week, examines the period from 2018 to 2021, and the royal tour of the Sussexes and the Cambridges. In a statement seen at the end of Episode 1, the palace said, "A free, responsible and open press is vital to a healthy democracy." However, too often overblown and unfounded claims from unnamed sources are presented as facts, and it is disappointing when anyone, including the BBC, gives them credibility. Prince Harry wanted to sit down and do an interview with the BBC when the phone hacking scandal hit the royal family, claimed Peter Hunt, the broadcaster's former royal reporter. A new documentary has delved into Harry and his brother Prince William's relationship with the press over the years. The scrutiny of their private lives really came to the fore as they reached adulthood. After they finished school, speculation abounded about what they might do in their roles as members of the royal family, as well as work outside of the firm and their personal lives. William went off to study at the Scottish St Andrews University in 2001, while Harry remained at home. He would go on to have several relationships, the most notable with Chelsea Davy and Cressida Berners. Meanwhile, William struck up a romance with someone he met at university, Kate Middleton. They would date for almost a decade before marrying in 2011. Some years after their marriage, scandal hit. A trial set up in the wake of the News of the World and now defunct newspaper phone hacking scandal in 2014 suggested that members of the royal family, including Harry, William and Kate, may have been targets. The scandal was explored during the BBC's new two-part series, The Princes and the Presser. Here, Peter Hunt, the BBC's former royal correspondent from 2003 to 2017, revealed that Harry, at the time of the trial, was desperate to do an interview with him for the broadcaster. Clive Goodman, former royal editor at the News of the World, had previously pleaded guilty to illegally intercepting phone messages from Clarence House and was imprisoned for 4 months in January 2007. His co-conspirator Glenn Mulcahy was sentenced to 6 months. Mr. Goodman was also sacked from News of the World but received a circumflex £240,000 settlement from News International. According to News International, the payments were made because his dismissal was unfair as they had failed to follow statutory procedures. News of the World folded in 2011. In 2014, Mr. Goodman was involved in a criminal trial that explored the allegations in further detail, the court hearing about alleged hacking of the communications of Harry, William and Kate. On June 30, 2014, the trial judge, Mr. Justice Saunders, announced that Mr. Goodman and the News of the World's former editor, Andy Coulson, would face a retrial on the outstanding charges. The following year, on April 18, 2015, Mr. Goodman was found formally not guilty of all charges at the Central Criminal Court. Mr. Coulson was sentenced to 18 months in prison, but only went on to serve 5 before being released in November 2014. Unlike Harry, who has continued in his legal battle against the phone hacking scandal, William and the rest of the family appear to have given up their case.